talk about scams.
This is great music for Herb Weisbaum, by the way. Prodigy.
Waking me up.
Should I recognize this?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay.
But it's funny to me.
Anyway, according to the FBI, Americans lost $12.5 billion to online scams last year. That's a record amount, 22% up from 2022. So let's go to consumer man Herb Weisbaum, contributing editor, checkbook.org. You've got 7 things we can do right now to fight back, but outline these scams and what the nature of the problem here.
Well, first of all, happy National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. That's why we're doing this now. Yeah, you did.
Oh, I forgot
it's
to buy
on
you
my calendar. I don't know why it's not on yours. Yeah.
I forgot to buy you a card.
That's okay. That's quite all right. I'll take Visa or MasterCard. First of all, we need to realize that you're up against international organized crime rings. They've reached so many databases in the past few years that you need to assume now that your personal information, your social security numbers, driver's license numbers, credit and debit card numbers, birth dates, passwords, PINs, have all been stolen and are on sale on the dark web. So you need to get serious about protecting yourself. You still need to be careful when you go online and provide personal information, but you need to take steps to put up some barriers to stop or slow down the identity thieves who have this information that they can use to open bank accounts or credit cards in your name. So there are many things to do, but I put together 7 of them. So are you ready to start, Mr. Ross?
Yes, freezing credit files.
Absolutely one of the only proactive things you can really do to protect yourself against financial fraud. Go to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Ask for a security or freeze your account. That locks it up. That locks your account up. So if a bad guy who has your social security number is trying to open a bank account or take out a credit card or a loan or rent an apartment in your name and has your social, they can't use it because a credit check's going to be run. The accounts are frozen. They can't run the credit check. They can't do that. They can't harm you. There's a myth that it lowers your credit score. It does not. It does not affect any relationship with your current creditors, and you can unfreeze it literally in seconds if you go online. If you need to have a credit check, like you just have to have that Macy's credit card and get it 20% off when you're holiday shopping or something. You unlock it, they do the credit check, and you go back. So freeze your accounts at all 3, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Okay,
I guess naive question, but if you presumably they have to know it is you freezing the account. If the crooks have all your ID information, couldn't they use that to unfreeze the account?
You get it.
On their own?
There's different ways. There's a PIN, or it knows your computer or whatever. So no, you can't unlock it unless you can actually know it's you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Multiple factor authentication.
Yeah. So that's where you get something like on your phone, you get a text or you get a phone call or something. That's something that even if the bad guys have all your information, odds are they don't have your phone with them, so they can't get that code that you have to put in to verify that it's really you. So I talked to the folks at Microsoft Security a number of years ago, and they said the worst password with multiple factor authentication is better than the best password with none, because if they steal the good password in a data breach, they can still use it. But if there's multiple factor authentication on or 2-factor authentication, they can't use it. So that's really, if there's an account, especially financial ones that let you put 2FA or MFA on it, do that. It's one of the best things you can do.
And so far, even the bad guys, as sophisticated as they are, can't take over your phone number.
They can take over your phone number. That's a rare crime. It happens sometimes. That we're playing the odds, the long game here. And yes, that does happen. It happened to a friend of mine. But
really?
They actually went to the phone company, changed the SIM card, got her, and they could get then.
Oh my gosh!
So that's a growing crime. But right now, this is still the best thing you can do.
All right. All right, check your financial accounts.
You should just do this as part of your protocol every couple of weeks, whatever. Just go onto your financial accounts and make sure everything's okay. You don't have to be overly anal about it, but just check every once in a while and make sure everything's okay.
We balance our checkbook every month, and that's how we caught the one time a guy washed a check that we put in the mailbox. That works. All right, a security alerts.
Yeah, so while you're on your accounts, most accounts, financial accounts, will let you set up security alerts. I have a whole bunch of mine on my bank account and on my credit card accounts. For instance, if there's a foreign transaction, I don't do foreign transaction. That's a flag that somebody's doing something. A card not present transaction. That's an online transaction, which is the kind of fraud now that the bad guys like to commit because of the chip. They can't do it in the real world unless they steal your credit card. They do it online. So those kind of things. If a check's written for a certain amount, if there's an ATM withdrawal, all those things can be instant alerts to your phone or to your desktop to let you know something's happening, to alert you again. The faster you realize there's a problem, the easier it is to correct.
We have that. We have notifications anytime there's a transaction above $100, actually, which kind of gets annoying, but you're grateful for it if you catch somebody trying to do something
Absolutely.
to your account.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reading your health insurance statements. Of course, I get an alert from my health insurer every time I do anything involving
Well, you
that.
get that thing that says this is not a bill, so you ignore it and throw it away. Don't ignore it. Just skim it real quickly if you don't want to do anything else, because if a criminal gets your medical file and starts to do medical stuff in your name, and that's the most lucrative form of identity theft right now, those files are worth more money than anything else. They can get drugs in your name, medical equipment in your name, procedures in your name. You know, if you see Dave Ross, you had your tonsils out in Cleveland and you still have your tonsils and you weren't in Cleveland, that's a sign that somebody's using your medical profile and has stolen your medical identity, is doing some funky stuff with your profile. You need to do something very quickly. Just skim it real quickly.
Yeah, good point. Credit scores, when they change, you should look into why.
Yeah, because if you're cruising along like Colleen, probably at 800 or something like that, and all of a sudden you haven't done anything differently, you haven't maxed out your cards, opened new cards, defaulted, not paid your bill, and it drops to 600 or something, maybe somebody's using your credit cards or open credit cards in your name to do something malicious, and that's another quick sign. So you can use the credit scores as a fraud alert system. That's what I do.
And now, when you get notice of a data breach, and I must have gotten like 3 or 4 of them, all offering me free credit checks.
Right.
And now I get emails from, I guess, credit protection companies I've never heard of. How do I know that's not fraud?
Well, first of all, if you get a notice of a data breach, the big ones are out there in the news media, but if you get a data breach, assume that your information has been stolen and change your password on those accounts. So that's the number one protocol you need to do now. So assume they got your password and your PIN. So if it's Comcast, if it's whatever it is, change your password for that account. Then if they offer you free credit monitoring, take it. I have enough free credit monitoring for 3 lifetimes because there's so many breaches. Don't pay for it. It's basically the exact same thing you need. Credit monitoring cannot prevent identity theft or something bad happening, but it's one of those things that alerts you very, very quickly if something happens. And for those listening, Dave, there may be people who are already victims of identity theft and go, what do I do? There's a fabulous nonprofit in San Diego called the Identity Theft Resource Center. It was started many years ago. I met them, a husband and wife who both were victims of identity theft before anybody heard the term identity theft. You can reach them online at idtheftcenter.org, idtheftcenter.org, or call 888-400-5530. You can talk to a trained counselor who's got all the cheat sheets and knows all the numbers you got to call and everything you need to do. 888-400-5530. The faster you do something, the more likely you are to shut this down.
With all these scams and all this fraud and all these credit card companies having to do all these security protocols, how do these poor credit card companies make any money, Herb?
Because the interest rates are now up over 30%, approaching 35%.
They find a way. They're fine.
Yeah.
Just wanted to double check.
And by the way, we have a whole bunch more tips on checkbook.org. I wrote a whole thing on how to protect your identity. Just go to checkbook.org and search ID theft, and the stories will pop up.
Checkbook.org. Herb Weisbaum. Thank you, Herb.
Thank you.